Imagine this, a struggling single dad, holding his little girl's hand as they walk home from a long day, when he suddenly stops to help an old woman who drops her cleaning supplies on the sidewalk. He doesn't know her. He doesn't know that she is connected to the most powerful person in his life. And he certainly doesn't know that this one act of kindness will change his future forever. If you want to hear the full heartwarming story, stick around until the end, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more life-changing stories that will truly inspire you. The story begins with Daniel, a young father in his early 30s, who has been raising his 6-year-old daughter, Emily, all alone. His wife had passed away a few years earlier after a sudden illness, leaving him with the crushing responsibility of parenthood and bills he could barely pay. Daniel worked 2 jobs, one at a factory during the day and another as a delivery driver at night. He barely slept, but he always made sure Emily had food on the table and never missed her bedtime stories. She was his entire world. Life wasn't easy. Some days, he skipped meals so Emily could eat properly. Their small apartment was old and cold in the winters, and Daniel worried constantly about whether he could keep up with rent. But despite his struggles, he always taught Emily one thing: we may not have much, but we always have kindness. Kindness doesn't cost anything, sweetheart. One evening, after picking Emily up from school, Daniel noticed an elderly woman outside the building struggling to carry heavy buckets and a mop. She wore a janitor's uniform, her hands rough from years of scrubbing floors. As she tried to lift the bucket, it slipped, spilling dirty water across the pavement. People walked past without even looking at her, some even rolling their eyes in annoyance. But Daniel stopped. "Emily, hold my bag," he said, rushing forward. "Ma'am, let me help you with that." The old woman, Mrs. Margaret, looked surprised. "Oh, young man, you don't have to. It's just my job." Daniel smiled gently. "A job doesn't mean you deserve to struggle alone. Let me carry these for you." He picked up the heavy bucket and mop, carrying them inside the building while Emily skipped beside him, offering the old woman her bright smile. Margaret's tired eyes softened at the sight. She wasn't used to kindness, not anymore. People usually looked through her, treating her like invisible dust in the hallways she cleaned every night. But here was a man, clearly exhausted himself, yet still offering her help. Over the next few weeks, whenever Daniel passed by and saw Margaret, he greeted her warmly, sometimes even buying her tea or sharing food when he had a little extra. Emily would always hug her, calling her Grandma Maggie, which made the old woman's heart ache with a bittersweet joy. She had a grandson of her own, a powerful CEO named Andrew, yet he rarely visited her. She had wealth if she wanted it, but she chose to live humbly, testing the hearts of those around her, because money had shown her too many masks in people's faces. Daniel never once asked who she was or expected anything in return. He simply helped because that was who he was. But life threw another challenge his way. One day, Daniel's boss at the factory cut his hours, saying they were downsizing. That meant his paycheck would shrink even more, and he wouldn't be able to cover rent. Desperate, he applied for jobs everywhere, but rejection after rejection left him feeling hopeless. Emily noticed the worry lines deepening on her dad's face. One rainy evening, when Daniel thought no one was watching, Margaret saw him sitting on the steps outside, his head in his hands. Emily was asleep, curled against his side under his jacket. His shoes were soaked through, but he didn't seem to care. Margaret's heart broke. She wanted to tell him who she really was, but she held back. She wanted to see if his kindness would last even in his darkest hours. Then came the turning point. One morning, Daniel received a call from a prestigious company he had applied to months ago. They wanted him to come in for an interview. Nervous but determined, he wore his best, though worn, shirt and tie, and went. He walked into the massive glass building, holding Emily's hand because he had no one to leave her with. To his shock, the receptionist led him straight to the CEO's office. There sat Andrew, a sharp-dressed man in his 40s, eyes cold and calculating. Daniel, I've read your resume, he began. You're hardworking, but this company doesn't hire just anyone. Why should I trust you with such responsibility? Daniel swallowed hard. He thought about his daughter, about the nights he spent hungry so she could eat, about helping Margaret with nothing in return. He looked the CEO in the eye and said, because I don't give up. Because I know what it's like to fight for something bigger than myself. And because I want my daughter to be proud of her father. There was a long silence. And then the door creaked open. Margaret stepped inside. Andrew, she said firmly, her voice carrying authority, I told you about this man. The CEO looked startled. Grandmother? You, what are you doing here? Daniel's eyes widened in shock. Grandmother? You mean? Margaret smiled warmly at Daniel.